Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, Welcome to Livingston, where we invite local businesses, people, and organizations in to talk about what they are giving to our community. My name is Don Paquette.
And I'm Angela Paquette, and we're with the Paquette Group Real Estate Professionals. As realtors and brokerage owners, we bring valuable insight into the local market and community every week. Thanks for listening, and welcome to Livingston.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Welcome to Livingston podcast. We are just so excited today. My name is Don Paquette.
And I'm Angela Paquette, and we're with the Paquette Group Real Estate Professionals.
Yes, and before we get started, I just wanted to give a quick word out to our sponsor. So today's episode of the Welcome to Livingston podcast is brought to you by our valued sponsor, Jim Paquette, with Lake Michigan Credit Union. He's a trusted mortgage lender who has lived and worked in our community for many years. Jim Paquette is dedicated to helping our neighbors achieve their home ownership dreams and is proud to support the local businesses that make our area special. And today we are just so excited for today's episode because we have with us from Howell High School, Jason Schrock, the principal, and Brian McCarthy, the assistant principal. So thank you guys so much for coming today.
Thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is really kind of neat. A lot of times we focus in on small businesses and so forth, but really we're all about everything Livingston County. You know, in terms of our community, there's a lot to be proud of, and your high school is one that both of our sons have attended, and we're very familiar with and very interested in sharing with the community.
Well, thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
We're excited to talk all things
yeah.
Howell High School.
How long have you guys been at Howell High School? Like in terms of...
Yeah, Brian, you want to start?
Yeah.
Sure. I've been there 9.5 years now. Came here because I was living in Howell at the time. And, you know, there's just nothing more powerful than educators working in the community that they live in. It's an inspiration all the time, seeing our principal, our superintendent have kids in the district, live there. So that's why I came to Howell. Since then, my wife took a job a little far north. So we've had to leave Howell, but it's the best.
It's a great community. And how about you, Jason? How long have you been at the high school?
25 years.
Oh, my
Wow.
gosh.
Yes, yeah. I actually started as a teacher, taught math for 7 years before making the switch into administration, and was an assistant principal for 5 years before taking the lead as head principal.
So you've seen a lot of changes at the high school.
A lot, yes.
Very well seasoned. I was like, geez, you were 15 years old when you started. Yeah. But great.
Well, that is so cool. So, obviously, people have heard of, Howell Public Schools and Howell High School. Kind of have you guys on to tell us a little bit about what goes on at the high school, what kind of programs you guys have, because, school of choice is a big thing. But like being in a community, one of the things people are always asking about is the schools. And we just kind of wanted to give a spotlight on all the amazing things you guys are doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Overall, I know we're going to deep dive on some of these things, but what would you have to say about the high school to introduce someone that isn't familiar with your high school or the area?
Well, I would say that if you're not familiar with Howell High School, you can't be turned off by the size. We are a large high school, the largest high school in Livingston County population-wise. But that strength has actually benefited us because we can offer a lot of things to students. And creating an environment where students really feel a sense of belonging and their purpose and they find their place isn't just something that like we try to do. Like, we are really intentional about finding spaces and opening doors for students to lead and have all sorts of opportunities in the classroom and out of the classroom. We really do have, it's not cliche, we really do have something for everybody.
It's impressive because there are so many things that somebody can be involved in whatever they want.
Mm-hmm. And it's a great way to shrink how big the school is. It can feel or seem overwhelming. I'm going to go to a school with 2,000 students. But then once you join a program like our culinary program, our ROTC program, then the feel is really, I'm with 100 of people, 100 students, like-minded, and our teachers do a great job of making those specialized programs, just really feel like a family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's cool.
I know with our kids, they're very involved with the performing arts, and they are almost branding it over the K-wing, for all of those students, and everybody knows each other, and the class is all together. So I feel like that does make it very cozy. And familiar for
Whenever I
kids.
need to pick me up, that's the wing I go to.
There you go.
But people are able to find their home. And one of the other things unique about your guys' school is you have a freshman campus.
Yes.
So it gives them an opportunity a little bit to find their class, right?
Yeah, we have two middle schools that feed into the high school, Parker Middle School and Highland Way Middle School. And so when those 8th grade classes come together, it's a great opportunity for them to get to know each other as now Howell Highlanders, not two separate schools, but they're now one graduating class together. It gives them time in a year to get acclimated to the high school routines and classes and get to know their peers at that level.
And all in the building together with kind of a very small setting that way. So before you dive into the big high school, it is kind of a smaller high school in a way.
Yes, yeah. And they do have some opportunity to come to the high school, kind of dip their toes into programs, get to be familiar with the building. If they're involved in the performing arts, our band and choir classes are offered at the 10-12 campus, we call it, 10th through 12th grade.
Right.
And they're very close. So these students just kind of effectively walk across the parking lot in a way, right?
Yeah,
Or over the field.
5-minute walk, maybe.
Depends who you ask. It's a 5-minute walk. I've timed it.
Right, there you go.
Which our kids never complained about. They'd always walk over to go to band, and I think they really kind of liked being out in the fresh air.
Or Spanish or French, depending on what they were in. But it gives them, I like that it gives them a chance to feel a little bit more grown up a little bit. They're walking between buildings, but yet at the same time, they're able to come to the freshman campus. So it's got a little bit of a safe environment and it eases them into it, because some people, when you're looking at 2,000 students, right, it can feel overwhelming. But when you said about like that, finding your family and it not feeling as big, you guys do a really good job of that.
Well, I give our staff a lot of credit for that, because we wouldn't have those opportunities without our staff leading those things, like our performing arts, ROTC, all the different clubs, classes, very unique classes and activities.
Yeah, a lot of different options academically and so forth.
Yeah.
So and we wanted to talk about some of those different programs you have, because you guys have some unique programs. And I know one of the ones that you guys just started, we wanted to kind of highlight on, and that's that Global Scholars endorsement you have. What is that?
Well, I'll let Brian McCarthy take the lead on that, because, again, it wouldn't be possible for us to offer these things without our teachers. It wouldn't be possible for me to help our teachers lead that without amazing leaders like Brian, who have visions of what schools could and should be able to offer, and then be able to put the pieces together. But the Global Scholars is something that Brian's been passionate about for several years, and there's a lot of moving pieces to it. So would love to have him kind of peel the opening back and talk about what the Global Scholars endorsement in the program is.
Right.
Yeah, so it was really kind of designed. So we had a team of educators that I was a part of for years. This was a multi-year planning process. We launched it this year, but really the previous 2 school years, we did tons of research, site visits, and really launching this endorsement for students was in response to a couple things. First, it was to really give students, to incentivize things that they were already doing. For example, our students have the chance to give TED Talks, to give actual TED Talks. I think we've done maybe 6 or 7 annual TED Talks. But in the past, it was, on your own time, in addition to all that you're doing. Do this for the good of doing it and because you want to, which is awesome. And we had lots of students step up. But since then, we've made that one of our elective classes. And, that's one pathway to start tracking towards this Global Scholars endorsement. So now it's incentivized. There's something on the back end. You do this collection of things and you're acknowledged and you're seen for that. So it's really to incentivize and recognize things that were already happening, but also for a variety of reasons, including just responding to our community needs. Our community came together, maybe almost a decade ago now, it seems like, and created a portrait of a graduate, our portrait of a Highlander. And a lot of the skills and attributes that our school community said they wanted really aligned to this idea of global education. Things like recognizing perspectives that may differ from your own, collaborating with others both locally and on larger scales. So we saw a little bit of a gap there. I would say like things like contributing to a local community. I would put Howell High School up against anyone in the world when you think of things like our Senior Survivor fundraiser and just how engaged our students are in our community and vice versa. But then on a larger scale, we saw an opportunity for growth. Like, how can we impact communities even outside of Howell and learn of what's going on? So that was all the reason for creating something like this endorsement. We learned a lot. We took a site visit to Rochester. I'll give their school system a shout out. They have a similar endorsement. We went out to Naperville, Illinois, where like the guru of global education is working. So a lot of research, a lot of learning. So now our students have the opportunity to intentionally plan their school experience by taking a set of classes from a menu. So we have maybe 20 or 22 classes that we are certifying, like have global competencies embedded into them. And almost all of them were existing classes that, we were already teaching. So students will choose from that menu, choose 7 of those classes. The only required one is a capstone class at the end of their experience. And then in addition to the coursework, they'll do things like give a public presentation on a globally significant topic. So again, that infrastructure was already there with our TED Talks, or students can do those in other unique ways. They will engage in some community service that is grounded in some of the ideas of global competence. So for example, a group of students and myself and the capstone teacher, Miss Moore, just went to the IV table and volunteered there. So we helped run their restaurant for a day. And, when people hear global education, I think the initial reaction is thinking huge, big things, students traveling to faraway places. But the idea of food insecurity is everywhere. It's certainly a global issue. So,
Definitely.
They were able to tackle that on a local scale. And then the other way that students track towards that pathway is engaging in a cultural experience. So that could be something as big and large as going on one of our school-sponsored international trips. It could be hosting a exchange student, if your family's up for that in your household, or even attending a local international fair that's annual in Howell. So lots of different pathways to get there. But that's just a little of the overview of this new endorsement.
Great. And I feel like kind of this international travel opportunities, that's something that is relatively newer and kind of an exciting element too, that every time I turn around, there's another group.
Yeah, I think it's been, students and teachers in Howell have been traveling for years internationally. It's been something open to students since we started exploring global education, building this endorsement. There's lots more opportunities now. Students are jumping on board, or our staff are jumping on board to provide these opportunities for students. So yeah, it's definitely more than ever, these trips.
It is amazing because I know our son went with the French and Spanish teacher last spring break. So they were able to go to Barcelona and France and Italy. And then I know there's a trip this year that's going to Germany and Switzerland and Austria. The interesting thing about that one is I've talked to some of the kids. One of the foreign exchange students is now in Germany, and they're all still talking to each other. And last I heard, they were trying to are you going to be in this village the day that we're going to be in the village? So that is just so awesome.
It is. It's been intentional trying to ramp up the number of opportunities for students to travel and get out of Livingston County, get out of Michigan, and see the world. It's a big place. And speaking of international students, that's another really unique component about Howell High School. We try to open the doors to as many international students or foreign exchange students as we can. Every year we have between 15 and 20, which gives our students who can't travel abroad, who don't have those experiences, at least a connection to somebody with different educational, cultural backgrounds to open up their world a little bit more.
Yeah, probably exploring some of those differences and in terms of the acceptance element to it.
Absolutely.
That is really nice. And I noticed you mentioned Ivy Table. So you guys just had Senior Survivor.
Yeah.
And you guys were able to gather up and get through volunteer donations almost $200,000 I saw this year.
Yes, just shy of $200,000.
And we should probably explain Senior Survivor because some of our listeners may not be familiar with them. And as a little sidebar, with our son that went out to college in Boston, the kids there couldn't even believe that your kids are doing all of this and the fundraising that they do. And so who wants to explain Senior Survivor, what it is? And
So Senior Survivor, almost 15, 17. I'm losing track of the years of how many years we've done this now. But it is a fundraiser that started a long time ago. Some of our student council advisors said we want to do a fun, engaging things to keep our seniors engaged at the end of the year, but also to give them some experience in leading fundraising for local needs, so all of the fundraising stays in Livingston County, as close to home as possible. And so the competition is 12 to 14 seniors that apply to be the survivors. Once they're chosen, they get dropped off at the school on a Sunday night, and they stay in the building, supervised, of course, with staff who volunteer their time to go without sleep for a day or two. And during the evening, they have fun competitions like you'd see on the show Survivor, challenges. And they attend their classes, but along the way and leading up to that, their charge is to raise awareness and fundraise for whatever local charity they've chosen for that year. And this year it was the Ivy Table. And so every day the fundraising goes on. At the end of the school day, the student body gathers in our commons to learn which 2 survivors are eliminated, just like the show. They're not voted off the island, but they have to play. There's some strategy to the game, and they've got to play some of the money that they fundraise to stay alive or stay in the game throughout the week. And then at the end of the week, we have a big school-wide assembly as we crown the grand senior survivor and reveal how much the charity has raised. And that started off with, I think, the first year, $4,500, and they were thrilled. They couldn't believe they raised that much. And every year after that, it grew and grew and grew. And last several years, it's been close to, if not topping, that $200,000 mark. And that's a tribute to our students and really a reflection of the values of our community, that they care about these the needs that are local.
Absolutely. Right. And I like that you change it and shift it. The year that Harrison was a senior survivor, it was the therapy dogs. So to put therapy dogs in the school system. And how's that been working out?
It's been great. I personally have one of them.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I'm the handler for one. But every school building has a therapy dog, and it's a game changer for the climate in a building when you see kids down on the floor, even staff down on the floor petting the dog, and just brings a smile to your face.
Yeah.
Relieves the tension. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, mental health. I imagine that really picks everybody up.
Right. And I was amazed in Senior Survivor just how involved it is. So like you get an idea from the outsider talking to your kids, but having a son that went through Senior Survivor and then helping with doing the sales at breakfast and the sales at lunch and just how elaborate all of that is.
Yeah.
But then to see how engaged the student body gets in it and just the amount that they're giving to it each day, it's blows your mind.
Well, and they're doing it for the right reasons. Because I remember being there, and I had made chocolate dipped Oreos, and had those all packaged. And I remember one of the girls of like, "Oh, here you go." I'm like, "Oh, well, for that you can get 2 packages." She's like, "Oh no, that's okay. Like it's for the cause."
Yeah.
And just such great spirit coming out of kids.
Yeah, it brings the families together. It brings parents into the school to help their students. We've expanded, so the middle schools and every elementary school now has a 5th grade junior survivor and a middle school survivor who do the same thing, and
they don't stay overnight.
They don't stay overnight, but they do the fundraising throughout the week, and they're on the teams.
But they're connected with the high schoolers, so they're all part of a team itself.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying, coming from the kids, like that's the coolest part is them, just their genuine interest in giving back to the community just becomes contagious for everybody.
Yes.
I'm thinking back, we just had graduation on Friday, and when our superintendent announced to the crowd, here are some of the highlights of the senior class, he shared how much Senior Survivor raised, and the families and adults there in attendance are the ones who just huge round of applause. So it was clear that the entire community, including the adults, just takes a great pride in something that was really student-led and student-created.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's part of the culture of your school.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to make sure to touch on, because we got so much diving into the meat of everything, some of the things that you guys do just on a day-to-day basis is really kind of different in terms of the block scheduling that I wanted to kind of touch on, even though it's like an everyday sort of thing. But for anyone thinking about Howell High School, it would probably be helpful to know.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with different ways that schools could put a schedule together, we offer students 7 academic class periods, or academic and electives combined. But we run a daily schedule that's really unique. And this started kind of during the pandemic as a way to minimize contact time, but we realized that the educational benefit to this block schedule was worth keeping. So we've held on to that, and we've made some tweaks along the way. But what a block schedule is in a sense you have 4 classes that meet on one day, and the other 4 meet on the next day, and they're about an hour and a half, so 90 minutes each. And to keep those classes kind of 4 and 4 balanced, what we've implemented is on one of the days, students are also enrolled in what we call a flex period, which gives them the chance to use that time flexibly. It's a time for us to do school-wide things. It's a time for them to travel around the building to other teachers they might need to get help from. It's also a time where clubs and activities can get together and have some meetings for students who don't have the means to do so after school. So the block schedule is something that mirrors like college schedules when you're sitting in class for extended periods of time and you don't have the same class every day. You have to learn how to budget your time for homework and projects. So it's really been a great benefit to keep around.
Right. And I assume that teachers are able to delve a little bit more into a subject, or labs work a little bit differently, not having to break them up between 2 days.
Yes, labs, discussions, projects, student interaction time doesn't have to be rushed when you have some extended time in class with your students.
And since it's so much like college, I imagine it probably really prepares your students that do go on to college for how that whole schedule will work for them. The transition has probably been pretty good for a lot of them.
Yes.
Is that what you'd say?
Yep.
And that should probably help for students. I've talked to some students that had like a co-op job, right? And they're able to work that a little bit better with the block scheduling than if they had every class every day.
Yes. Yeah. Still other unique parts about the schedule at Howell High School. You mentioned co-op. We have opportunities for students to take college classes through dual enrollment or AP classes. There's a lot of ways that students can get out of the building and still stay connected to the high school, especially their junior and senior years. More of those doors open up. But it's very common to see some seniors especially only in the building a few periods a day, every other day, because the rest of their learning is taking place either in a college setting or on-the-job training or through an early college program or one of our CTE programs that takes place through one of our partnering schools around the county.
Great. Yeah, there's a lot of different options, like in terms of even within the district, and it's kind of amazing. Did you want to
Right,
ask
yeah.
about
So I wanted to ask about some of those programs because you guys have some unique programs that you have. And some of the ones that I've heard a lot about are, you have the EMT program, which I wanted to ask about. And then you guys build houses.
Yes.
The students do.
The students build houses, but that's that one that, like, to someone to hear that, like, wait, they're building a house at the high school?
Yes. They just finished up and had their open house last week, actually, the last one they built right downtown Howell. Yeah, our construction trades program is phenomenal. Students who are interested in pursuing construction, whether it's hands-on for the first time or that they know what they want to get into, can take a Construction 1 program, and that's housed at Parker Middle School, and they learn a lot of the basics, a lot of basic tools, safety, measurements. But those who kind of catch that bug and want to go on, our Construction 2 program builds a residential house from the ground up every year. Couldn't do that without the partnership with the Howell Education Foundation that helps with the initial cost of building materials. And then the other cool component of this that's not really well known is when that house does sell on the market, the funds go back to the Howell Education Foundation, and all the teachers in the district can apply for classroom grants that we might not be able to provide as a district otherwise to support unique programs in their own classrooms.
Wow.
So it's a really...
full circle.
Yeah, full circle. You get that momentum going, and the program sustains itself. And at the end of the day, our kids learn a lot of great skills when you're...
Yeah, hands-on experience, and so for those that are exploring, maybe they're thinking about it, maybe they're not sure. What a great way to test that out before digging into an apprenticeship or something like that.
Yes, and our instructor does a great job of bringing in the trades to help alongside. So our students are networking with electricians, plumbers, HVAC, roofers, concrete, so they get to know if one of those trades is one of their passions not just, rough framing or trim carpentry or tile.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That is great. And then the EMT program, that's a medical-based program then, right?
Yes, that's in partnership with the Livingston County EMT facilities off of Thule Road over by the airport and the EMS facility. So I would say that, and I can describe our firefighter program because they're very similar in that those students are getting their credentials not on the campus of Howell High School, but actually on the facility, whether it's the firefighter program that's off of Door Road, Brighton Fire Department, or the EMT facility. And their coursework and their learning is done on site, and they study for those state tests to become certified EMT or certified firefighters at the end of the day.
Wow, right there while they're still in high school.
Yes.
Like, what a way to really launch their adult careers. Like, that's outstanding.
Yeah. We don't hear the question, what am I going to learn this, or what do I need to learn this stuff for from those classes?
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah, this is
They
true.
know.
And then
every lesson's important.
the airport, too. Like, I feel like there's some kind of partnership with
Yes, with Crosswinds Aviation, we've been
Yeah.
able to partner with them for a number of years, and our students travel to the Howell, just down the road from the Howell Airport, where Crosswinds has their facility, and they take their private pilot ground school coursework.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I know it was either this last year or the year before at one of the football games, it was one of the students that was flying the plane overhead for
The flyovers.
the flyover at the beginning of the game.
Yeah. How many high schools can say before a football game they get a flyover from a student pilot? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
like, it's
Pretty,
outstanding.
pretty unique.
You've been up there, haven't you?
And yes, I've been in the plane with a student flying as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of trust.
Yes. Yeah.
But just such amazing opportunities. Like, it's really remarkable. And like I said, with our son going to school out of state, like, these other students from other states were just shocked at all these fantastic things that his school had. And he just kind of assumed, well, doesn't everybody have, a way to certify to become a pilot? And I'm like, no. Don't they have senior certified? No.
A full service restaurant that our
Yeah.
students
Oh
can
my
go
gosh,
to for
that's
lunch on
right.
Thursday and Friday. It's
Yeah,
pretty unique.
Tell us more about that in the culinary program, right?
Yeah, we have a culinary program, also a shared program. So we have students from other districts in the county coming, but they learn to work and operate a full restaurant. On Thursdays and Fridays, they're open for breakfast and lunch. And I think I'm there every Thursday and Friday.
There you go.
Just
It's perfect.
intentionally scheduling meetings, rewarding students for doing great things. Hey, let me come and buy you lunch. And, you could do that in a cafeteria, but it just feels very different when, you're in a booth, waiter, waitress coming. It feels like you're out just at a nice community restaurant, and it's all led by our students.
Right. Those life skills
Yeah.
that they are getting.
And where
right
can
there.
you get 5-star salmon for $5?
Oh my gosh.
You know?
Wow. There you go.
That's outstanding. And you had mentioned in terms of the different schools in the county that it's kind of, is it collaborative or a consortium or?
Yeah, it's called a consortium in Livingston County. Some counties have what they would consider or call a tech center, where students interested in trades would go to that tech center, and that's where all of them are housed. In Livingston County, we have a partnership with the 5 local high schools, and it's a consortium model. So we host the restaurant, the culinary arts program, the firefighter program, the building trades, early childhood health occupations. And schools that aren't able to offer that can send their students who are interested to our program. And likewise, we're not able to run an auto program, so we'll send our students to Pinckney or Brighton for an auto program, or Heartland for an engineering, or Fowlerville for the ag science program. So it gives us all the ability to specialize and offer something unique without having to recreate the facility ourselves.
Right. It just is very much to just the synergy that you guys can all achieve by building all of the students in the county up.
Right. And it just gives students an ability to really dive into a path and feel like they have a way forward that fits what they're looking for, which is really good. And then you guys have quite a few AP.
Yeah. So for those
options as
that
well,
are
right?
college bound, what are your thoughts about some of those offerings?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of
17,
AP.
I think we have 17 AP courses
Yeah.
that we offer students. a great way to get that rigorous collegiate academic experience. And at the end of the year, study for that AP test and walk away with college credit as well.
Yeah, we've known a lot of students that really started ahead when they began college. One of Harrison's best friends, honest to goodness, I think, wasn't he almost a sophomore as he began?
Well, he's
because of
gonna have a couple degrees
Yeah.
done at the 3-year mark.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's pretty amazing.
But to be able to have just those options and those opportunities, so whether some of the students that are getting so much AP that they're going so far into college already, or those even for 1 or 2 courses, just to really challenge themselves, give them a chance to experience what a college level course is going to be like while they're in high school, and they have that safe space, so that way they know what to expect. Moving on, I think, is really good too.
Yep, and I know dual enrollment is becoming such a big thing. There's quite a few students that are taking classes over at Cleary, or they're taking them at Washtenaw.
Yes. Yeah, we have a lot of great partnerships in the area. And with the help of Livingston ESA, we've been able to create an early college program for the county. And early college means you're not just taking a dual enrollment course 1 or 2 years and getting some college credit, but you're actually enrolled in a specific program, whether it's cybersecurity or welding. And you make that commitment for 1 more year of high school. So it's a 5-year program in these specific areas. But most of your senior year and that 13th year are in the collegiate setting. And you walk away with, many times, an associate degree, if not just a lot of credentials, not just coursework done, that the district is able to help pay for that.
That's
that education.
fantastic
Yeah.
in terms of just being cost efficient and time efficient, because at that point, to walk away 1 year after your traditional graduation time and already have your associates, that really saves students
I know
a whole year.
My life would have been different if I had those opportunities.
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah, kids today have so much.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was going to say is, as a staff, you guys, and then all the teachers, they do such a good job making the students feel like they have ownership within the school. With all the different programs you guys have, with all the different sports, but even something as simple as like when you become a senior, if you have a car there, you can paint your spot, because we'll have family that comes to events. They're like, oh, I'm in SpongeBob today, but I know the seniors really look forward to that. And that's another unique thing that, like, it's easy for you guys to do, but a lot of schools, they don't think to allow that, to have like, what a wonderful, unique experience for them to be able to, create their spot.
Appreciate you recognizing that. A lot of it is just us as adults trusting our students, because so many of these ideas come to us from students. I'll let Brian talk about Hope Squad in a second, because that's one that came from students. But the parking spot is a great example of a student who said, Mr. Schrock, I've got a great idea for a fundraiser for our class, and provided a little presentation and a contract for students to sign. I couldn't say no. It was a great way for them to say, we want ownership in this area. We think it's going to be good for our culture. All we just need is you to recognize we're going to do this. This is how it'll run. We want this. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's actually going to be fun. So it's a lot of these things is us listening to what the students are wanting and needing, and saying, yeah, that makes sense. Let's figure out how you can lead in that area, and you can become a leader and make it happen.
Yeah, promoting that leadership set of skills, which no matter what kids do, having leadership behind them is, if they're learning those skills, that's going to serve them well.
They graduated, so I got to park in the Nemo spot today.
There you go.
Just
But
keep
the
swimming.
Hope Squad, I have heard about this. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, the Hope Squad's incredible. Another idea that was born from some of our student leaders. Ultimately, what the Hope Squad is a group of students who are nominated by their peers. As individuals, as students who just naturally others are coming to with problems or when they're going through a hard time. So students identify those like go-to other students. And then through the Hope Squad, we provide training to those nominated students of just how to best support people who might be navigating a challenge, specifically how and when to encourage somebody who's going through a really hard time to seek support, to seek adult help. There's some things where students need to have the awareness and knowledge of, okay, this is something I can help with. And then next level, this is something that we need to get you to a counselor. We need to get you to your parents, to some kind of adult support. So our student leaders nominated go through that training, take tremendous pride in being a part of the Hope Squad. So there's no wondering who's a part of it. Like, they're rocking the Hope Squad shirts. It's really clear, and our student body knows who these people are, and they were going to them anyway. So that's pretty much what it is. We've had tremendous, success on the ground, but also spreading that message and word of just how powerful the Hope Squad is. Our leaders have given presentations to other county school districts, local school districts. One of our students is on, correct me if I'm saying this wrong, the national board for the Hope Squad, which are housed and based in Utah. So our students really took the Hope Squad and ran with it. And then circling back, and thinking of that same mindset, just giving back to others, helping others in our local community. That's yet another pathway that students can earn that Global Scholars endorsement. Yeah. So we really tried just like holistically from our school, like kind of operating with that value set. And it's great for our students, great for our community.
So much to offer all these students. It really is remarkable. And you guys are making a big difference. I've heard from some of the staff, actually, for you, Mr. Schrock, how impressed they are at how much you listen to the students. That the students come out of this, and I think staff-wide, for your whole administration, that they feel heard. And that makes such a difference, because I think that becomes part of that culture. Mm-hmm. So props to you guys, because you're doing an outstanding job.
The mission of Howell Public Schools is empowering students to be successful citizens. And, when you're part of a school system, if you don't believe the mission, it shows. And when you do believe the mission, it should show. So that's something that we've really kind of preached to our leadership team, our staff, that ultimately we should hear more from elevating student voice is really powerful in the classroom as well.
And you guys just do so many things to keep the students involved. You guys just had decision day a couple weeks ago where the students got to go up, and this is the college they're going to, and what a great celebration for them.
Or even in terms of the trades and the other options, like that. For whatever decision those seniors have made, the whole school is coming together to cheer them on. And, so that way they're seen, they're heard, and they can celebrate with the students that are experiencing it.
And similar to Senior Survivor, where we've tried bringing in some of the other levels, for Decision Day, we also bring in lower levels, 5th grade students, 5th and 8th?
5th and 8th.
5th and 8th grade students are there too. So how cool for a 5th grade student or 8th grade to see these people, from a 5th grader, they look to our seniors like they're heroes, they're rock stars.
Yeah.
To see them parading across the stage, it just gives that idea of hope and excitement in our young people. Like, I want to do that someday. I'm excited to be walking across the stage going where I'm going.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. It reinforces that there's no one path. That at Howell High School, we're not trying to make you fit into one box. We really want to celebrate what makes you different, what your interests are. And when a 5th grader can see the different career paths, they know that, there's a place for me here to learn and grow.
Right.
And explore different career options and paths, and academically and athletically or performing arts, all of it.
That there's options, and it's not, anything that's been fixed in their head by, whatever perceptions they've gotten, that they are seeing real life kids and the choices that they've made.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you guys have some great sports programs at the school. There's kids that are like really involved in multiple sports, but I see there's sports doing amazing things, making it to states. The football team made it quite a ways last year, which was super exciting.
Had a great fall, didn't we?
Yes. It was very exciting.
Yeah. They get to say that they beat the soon to be starting quarterback at U of M.
Right.
So that's pretty exciting for them.
So that's huge. And I do want to do a big shout out to the Performing Arts Department, because like I mentioned at the very beginning, I even wore my 100 years Howell bands. That Howell bands have been around 102 years at this point. But just so phenomenal. Our son, who's going to be a senior here, he is so active in all of those. He's, very much band oriented. He's a drummer, but drama, and now even in terms of choir, that these opportunities and the family that these students have become over there just is phenomenal, that I feel like there's a place for anyone, no matter what the program is. But for me, seeing the performing arts kids, some of them are the type of kids or the type of backgrounds that maybe they don't feel accepted in places, and to know that they have a home there and that they're able to, everybody has different outlets, I think is huge. And just in terms of the quality of the product, we've interviewed Mrs. Malo not long ago when you guys did the Chicago performance. And I have to say,
I was so impressed by Chicago.
Wow.
They did such a good
That-
job.
show.
in terms of any High School Musical I've ever seen in my life, I think that was the best. Just in terms of between the singing, the talent there, the choreography, the even as simple as the set was, and the costumes, it was outstanding.
And you guys have the Rod Bushy Auditorium is a wonderful resource you guys have. That is a great building.
That is. That's a piece that, and we're proud of, to be able to have a facility that houses that big of an audience and is used for so many different purposes throughout the year. We do have communities that come in and use that space, but the band, the choir, the drama, performing arts, they do a great job there, for sure. Little known fact about the marching band: a lot of high schools' fight songs are collegiate fight songs.
Yeah.
You're aware. Howell High School's fight song is unique. It was written for and by Howell High School students. Whenever, I don't know, our director could probably tell you, Ms. Lachowski probably can dig up those numbers, but it's a unique song.
It's their very own song.
Their
That's
very
just
own
for
song,
them.
just for us.
No, I learned 3-4 years ago, even the cadence that they walk in for that is different.
Yeah.
So it's very unique. And I mean, you guys have bagpipes.
We have a bagpiper.
Yeah, because they're the Highlanders. And the neat part is I know other school districts have orchestra and other things, and you guys really focus in on the traditional band and the marching band. But on some level, it's neat because it really has created a very large band program in terms of those traditional
Yep.
instruments and the marching band itself and the number of kids involved.
And you're right. All of the instructors have done such a great job of making those programs feel like a family and
Yes.
accepting everybody
Right.
and knowing their families as well.
Yeah, it's true because everybody knows one another, and it's just very comfortable atmosphere. Makes it nice.
For a school of 2,000 people, it makes it seem like a much smaller school, which is a testament to you guys. But there's so many different programs and avenues that people can go into. So a person is really able to get a full experience in 4 years, and the parents can feel comfortable sending their kids to your school.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Some of the programs are your more traditional band, choir, athletics. Some of them are not traditional. Mr. McCarthy mentioned the TEDx talks that our students give. We have an esports competitive team. But then we also have these little unique ones like a Dungeons and Dragons club, environmental club. And the commitment level is a little different. They're able to meet when they can, but it provides all students a way to get connected with some level of their interest throughout the school year.
Right.
Very cool.
Well, your archery program is very good. I mean, they've gone to states, and you guys have an equestrian program as well.
Yes.
So, I mean, not every school can say that either.
I'd like to mention the shout out to the rock band class, which was, of course, our son's favorite thing in the absolute world, and to know that there's a class for a whole semester that you can take. And some of these are band kids, but some of them aren't, and they just learn. And it's neat because there's the leadership involved that they're picking what music they're playing, how are they arranging things, and they actually do.
And they
rock band.
managed the year our son was in it. They managed to get a set at Log Cabin. So they went there and they did a whole set at Log Cabin, and grandparents came in and everything. And you would have thought that they were in front of 1,000 people. They were so excited to do it, and everyone was so happy to be able to see them.
They do some gigs.
Yeah.
Some gigs.
Yeah.
And then at least twice, if not 3 times during the semester, we'll invite them to our commons area during lunches, and they perform for our student body in lunches. We just tell our staff ahead of time so they can shut the door if they need to, because It gets
It's a little
loud.
loud.
It's called rock class for a reason.
Yeah.
It's slightly harder to get kids to class on time
This is true. This is true.
when they're rocking out in the comments.
Yeah.
All worth it.
But very fun. Very good. Because I feel like the kids, anytime I go in there, it feels like they're having fun with everything they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, no, it's been so nice to hear so much about the school. Is there anything that we missed about Howell High School
You
that
wanted to
people
make
should
sure
know?
that get the word out.
Well, we covered a lot of ground. I know that if we missed anything, we tried our best to do a good job of keeping our website up to date. So if somebody's listening to this and wants to learn more about the Global Scholars Program, about all the clubs and activities, if there was something we missed, if they want to learn about the early college program, we have a lot of resources housed on our website.
Perfect. Great. And we're going to put those in the show notes. But I don't know in terms of the general website, if you wanted to rattle that off or...
Pretty simple, howellschools.com. And then you'd look for all the school options and just click on Howell High School. And I think the Global Scholars was under the About Us tab. Academics, thank you. Academic tab for Global Scholars, and student activities was under the Student tab.
Right.
Gotcha. A lot of robust information, by the way.
And your counselors do a great job as well. I know that, during junior year, we went to the night where they talked about scholarships, but we were able to sit down and say, this is where our student is right now. What classes do you have left to take? There's opportunities to test out of classes. There's so much information there, and they going to do a good job of boiling it down to specific students.
And I do want to recognize that for kids that have always taken advanced academic classes, as parents, and we are very hands-on, we didn't have to be necessarily because they already themselves worked with their counselors, were identified very early in terms of what classes they should be taking, and it really served them well through their time in the high school.
Yeah, it's incredible how well our counselors, considering their own caseload size, yet still when I have a question or bring up a name, they know everything about that student, have connected to with their families. It's remarkable. It's a great team.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Keeping people on track and keeping them towards their goals, which is really good.
Yep.
Which, with a school that size, really is remarkable. You would think that it would be a matter of like, oh, I guess you missed that. Oh, geez, holy cow. No, they really were so on top of things. And even, like I said, in terms of, boy, I thought, you would be taking, this class instead of that. Like, oh, no, here's the reasoning. Or, boy, tested high in math. And then all of a sudden, happened to be 2 years in advance, but served very well. And just a lot of those opportunities
Right.
were outstanding. So
Yep.
speak very highly of it.
Well, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you coming today. Anyone out there listening, please check out Howell Schools, check out Howell High School, and know if you have a kid that is coming up and is going to be attending the high school, we can't speak highly enough of it, and it is just a great atmosphere. And what they're saying is it really does feel like a family, and they really do a good job of, keeping your kids engaged, keeping them safe, and making sure that they know that our kids always knew that they were in charge of their own path, which I thought was really good.
I appreciate hearing that. I appreciate the opportunity to talk all things Howell High School, and I'm just fortunate to be part of a great team who truly cares not only about each other, but about every one of the kids that walks in the door. And
That comes through.
that's good to hear.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
absolutely. Thanks so much.
And
Welcome to Livingston.